Welcome, chosen ones. This message is not for the faint of heart, but for those who have endured the crushing weight of their own family's rejection. For those who gave everything, love, obedience, and effort, believing it would be enough to earn belonging, respect, and unconditional care, only to be met with criticism, control, and shame. You have carried this burden for too long. Today it ends. As C.C. Lewis said, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. This is not merely a hardship, but a calling to rise above. From the very beginning, something about you set you apart. You may not have fully named it, but you felt it deep in your soul. In their eyes, you were always too much or not enough. Too loud when your joy overflowed, too quiet when your thoughts turned inward, too strong when you stood in your truth, and too weak when you let your emotions show. No matter what you did, your existence seemed to be a problem that needed fixing, so you tried to change. You bent yourself into impossible shapes, attempting to fit into a mold that was never made for you. You adjusted your tone, your words, even the way you moved, believing that if you just tried harder, peace and love would follow. But no matter how much of yourself you sacrificed, it was never enough. Their approval remained out of reach, the goalposts constantly shifting. That is when the shame crept in, a quiet yet relentless whisper that told you they were right. You started to believe their words, questioning your worth, your identity, and even your purpose. Anxiety became your constant companion, self-doubt your closest critic. In your darkest moments, the pain turned inward. For some, it surfaced as self-harm, a desperate attempt to numb the ache. For others, it became isolation, a silent retreat from a world that seemed to echo the same rejection. But then something changed. You saw it, a glimpse of what family could be. You witnessed parents who celebrated their children without conditions, siblings who were allies instead of competitors, families where love wasn't a prize to be earned, but a gift freely given. It wasn't jealousy that filled your heart. It was grief. Grief for what you never had, for the love that was your birthright yet denied to you. That grief was your wake-up call, and with it came the truth. It wasn't you. It was never you. You were not the problem. You were the scapegoat. The one they used to project their insecurities, their failures, their hidden pain. Your light wasn't unseen, it was resented. It exposed their darkness, and instead of celebrating it, they tried to extinguish it. As C.S. Lewis wrote in The Problem of Pain, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pain. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. That pain wasn't meant to destroy you, it was meant to awaken you. When you began to see this, everything shifted. The rejection you carried became a testament to your resilience. The shame they placed upon you became a reflection of their own brokenness, not yours. Their inability to love was never a measure of your worth, but of their blindness. Now is your time to step into the light you have dimmed for too long, to recognize that you were never meant to fit into their mold. You were meant to break free from it. Your worth has never depended on their approval. You are chosen, not by them, but by the one who created you. Stand in that truth. Let their rejection be the fire that refines you, not the chains that bind you. You were made for more, and this is only the beginning. Slowly, you began to distance yourself, not out of hatred, but for self-preservation. You realized that every time you stepped into their presence, your peace was disturbed. They didn't seek to build you up, they wanted to control you. And when they saw that their grip on you was loosening, they panicked. They did what they have always done. They turned you into the villain. They accused you of abandoning the family, called you ungrateful, selfish, even cruel. They twisted the narrative to make it seem as if you were the problem once again. They played their games, pulling others into their web of manipulation, hoping to isolate you, but this time it didn't work, because this time you knew the truth. Yes, there are moments when their words pierce through. Moments when their accusations stir up old wounds. Moments when you question if you are making the right decision. But in those moments, remember this: God sees your heart. He knows the battles you have fought, the tears you have cried, the prayers you have whispered in the dark. He is your refuge, your strength, your comfort. Psalm 55:22 urges us, "Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved." The most painful battles are not fought with strangers, but with those who share our blood, our memories, our past. Family. The ones who should protect, nurture, and uplift are often the ones who wound us the deepest. Their words, their actions, their judgments, these are the arrows they send to pierce your heart. But you are not defenseless. You are not without wisdom, strength, or the power of God to shield you. Today I will show you how to protect yourself from their attacks, how to neutralize manipulation and maintain your peace first. Remember this foundational truth. Their attacks are not about you, they are about them. Their words are often rooted in their own fears, insecurities, and need for control. You became their target because you refused to conform to the mold they designed for you. You dared to be different, to shine your light, to walk in your truth. John 15:18 says, "If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first." This applies even to your family. Their resistance to your authenticity is not a measure of your worth, but a reflection of their inability to accept what they cannot control or comprehend. When they come at you with accusations, when they try to guilt you into submission, remember you are not required to respond to every attack. Silence is a tool too. Not every battle is yours to fight, and sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 17:28, "Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues." Your silence denies them the reaction they seek and keeps you in control. But what about when you must respond, when silence is not an option and their words demand an answer? This is when wisdom becomes your armor and your words become your shield. Speak with calmness and clarity, refusing to engage in their emotional traps. Say, "I hear your concerns, but I need to make choices that align with my peace and purpose." This response dismantles their attempt to bait you into conflict while affirming your right to live according to God's plan, not their demands. When they accuse you of abandoning the family, of being selfish, respond with truth, wrapped in grace. Say, "I love this family, but I cannot sacrifice my well-being to fulfill expectations that were never meant for me. I hope one day you'll understand that my boundaries are not rejection, but self-preservation." This doesn't give them room to twist your words, but also holds them accountable for their behavior without hostility. Protecting yourself also means setting boundaries, firm, unyielding boundaries. Boundaries are not barriers to shut others out, but fences to safeguard your peace. Say to them, "I will not engage in conversations that are disrespectful or demeaning. If this continues, I will remove myself," then follow through. Your boundaries teach them that their actions have consequences and they cannot simply override your well-being. Recognize that their attacks may not always be obvious. Sometimes it's the subtle digs, but you must counterattack with Scripture. Isaiah 5,417 declares, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." Not their words, not their manipulation, not their judgment. And let us not forget prayer. Prayer is your ultimate defense. Pray for strength, pray for wisdom. And yes, pray for them, not because they deserve it, but because it frees you from resentment. Say, "Lord, I release their words and actions to you. Transform their hearts and protect mine." Prayer is not a sign of weakness. It is a declaration of trust in God's ability to fight battles you cannot. There will be moments when their words awaken the child in you, the one who still yearns for their approval, who still hopes for their love to be unconditional. When this happens, remind yourself of a greater truth. You are already loved fully and completely by the one who matters most. Psalm 1:3-9-1-3-3-1-4 proclaims, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. You do not need to earn his love, and his opinion of you will never change." They will accuse you of being cold, distant, even heartless when you begin to protect yourself. But remember, distance is not cruelty, it is clarity. Say, "I am choosing distance because I need clarity. I still love you, but I cannot allow this relationship to harm me anymore." Your words must come from a place of strength, not anger. Let them feel your resolve, not your resentment. When their words manage to slip past your defenses, and they will because you are human, do not let guilt or shame take root. Take those wounds to God immediately. Lay them at His feet and say, Lord, this pain is too heavy for me to carry. Heal my heart and remind me of my worth. The enemy will try to use their words to pull you back into old patterns of self-doubt, but you must counterattack with Scripture. Isaiah 54:17 declares, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Not their words, not their manipulation, not their words, not their manipulation, not their word judgment. And let us not forget prayer. Prayer is your ultimate defense. Pray for strength, pray for wisdom, and yes, pray for them, not because they deserve it, but because it frees you from bitterness. Say, Lord, I release their words and actions to you. Transform their hearts. And protect mine. Prayer is not a sign of weakness. It is a declaration of trust in God's ability to fight battles you cannot. There will be moments when their words awaken the child in you, the one who still yearns for their approval, who still hopes for their love to be unconditional. When this happens, remind yourself of a greater truth. You are already loved fully and completely by the one who matters most. Psalm 1:3-9-1-3-1 or proclaims for you, created my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. You do not need to earn His love, and His opinion of you will never change. Do not let their attacks define your identity. You are not selfish, you are not rebellious, you are not ungrateful, you are not unrighteous, you are not ungrateful, you are grounded. Hold on to this truth. They may see you as a villain, but God sees you as His beloved child, chosen for a purpose greater than their understanding. When their games escalate, when they try to rally others against you, remain steadfast. Do not engage in gossip or retaliation. Instead, say, I will not participate in conversations that tear others down. My focus is on building a life of peace and purpose. Let them play their games alone. You do not need to defend yourself to those who are determined to misunderstand you.